So humans are storytelling animals. We have always, as long as we've had language, we've raised our kids with stories, epic poems, all kinds of stories. Stories are good. The human brain needs lots of patterns. The child's brain needs lots of patterns to develop. So the worst thing you can do is hand your child a device because they're crying for it because they've trained to get it, and you're busy, so you hand them the device, they're quiet. What's happening? They're sitting alone, when I was a kid, we always watched with my sisters, with my friends, you're arguing about it, you're talking, it's social. Kid's sitting alone with a device in his hand. It's not long stories, it's never long stories. It always ends up at YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram Reels for older kids. So they're doing this, but here's the key thing that it does that a television does not. A television puts you in a state that psychologists call transportation. You get into a story and you find yourself pulled in and you're rooting for the characters. And this is how a brain gets tuned up to social patterns. But it can't happen in 10 seconds. It can't happen in 1 minute. It takes a long period of time, and there is no reinforcement. The television doesn't do anything to you. You don't have any response. Whereas a touchscreen device is a Skinner box. So B.F. Skinner was one of the founders of behaviorism, and he put rats and pigeons in a box where he could deliver reinforcement, a little grain of food, on a schedule. And by giving them quick reinforcements for behavior, he could train them to do amazing tricks in just a few hours. When you give your kid a touchscreen device, it's stimulus, response, swipe, get a reward or not, variable ratio, and then and you just keep doing that. So you are, as Aditi said, it is rewiring your brain. It's not just wasting time. It is literally training you to do things where television didn't do that. So this is a whole new game.
And to add to that, from the medical perspective, you're shortening this attention span. And what happens over time is, so like Jonathan said, right, you're not sleeping as well because you are engaged with your device. We know that 80% of people are checking their phones within minutes of waking up. We have something called revenge bedtime procrastination, this concept of, at the end of the day, you're fatigued, you've had a long day, you've had no me time, and you want to get to bed early. We all know, by the way, what the data is, that we've been taught since we were little kids, right? Like bedtime, sleep is important. It's good for your body. It's good for your brain. And we might have all the knowledge in the world, but in terms of action, there's a wide gap between knowledge and information and action. And so revenge bedtime procrastination is kind of an offshoot. So what happens? So, you have that decreased attention, you have that irritability, hypervigilance. And so at night, at the end of the day, it's 9 p.m. You finally, if you're a parent, your kids are asleep, your kitchen is clean, maybe you finish your entrepreneurial day and you finally sit down with Melanie on the couch and you're like, the me time. And you want to get to bed early and it's good for you. But then suddenly you're scrolling and before you know it, it's 2 a.m. And you're saying, oh my God, what happened? Why am I still awake? What was I doing all this time? What happens is that you essentially give yourself some me time at night. And so you procrastinate bedtime. And so what happens is with this revenge bedtime procrastination, it affects your sleep. And then when you don't have good sleep, good quality sleep, so you have difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, sleep debt over time for kids, for adults, has all sorts of ramifications. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, this short form video content, and the ripple effects go far and wide. Not only is it rewiring your brain, it's rewiring your body. It is affecting your sleep, which increases your risk of heart disease later in life. And when you're consuming graphic videos and graphic images, it can increase your personal risk of PTSD through vicarious trauma, even if you weren't there. So this is just a vast network of things that can happen to you simply because you're thinking, it's harmless. What is it? It's just a bunch of videos that I'm checking out. It's a way for me to decompress.
What do I need to know about the nature of the brain to understand exactly what short form video is playing, is hijacking, is taking advantage of?
The thing to understand about all of this is that we have to focus on childhood. Why do we have childhood? Humans have this really interesting childhood where we grow rapidly at first, and then we slow down for about 5 or 7 years. We don't grow very quickly. And then we speed up at puberty. Whereas other primates, they just grow and grow till they reach reproductive age, and then they reproduce. But we seem to have this long period of sort of middle childhood for cultural learning. It's a period in which the kid is now walking and talking and turning away from the parents, and that's a time for this to come in, and they pay attention and they form relations. All these things have to happen slowly because the neurons are gradually growing. They're finding each other based on what the child is doing. Okay, so we grow up in the real world, and that happens over time. And a lot of that is very physical. Kids are very physical. Mammals are very physical. And there's a lot of touch. So that's a healthy human childhood. But when you give an iPad or your old iPhone, and they begin doing the touching and swiping, that is going to hijack their attention. That is going to push out all other forms of action and learning. And that is going to change the way the parts of the brain that learn to pay attention, what's called executive function. It's going to change the way the brain learns to pay attention. It's going to change the reward circuits. I think you had Anna Lemke on recently, who's the nation's expert on addiction. And the way that she describes it, how any one addiction is going to change your reward pathways to make you more vulnerable to other addictions. So we're setting our kids up, not just for this, but then when they get a little older, it'll be video games, it'll be porn, it'll be gambling. Now everything is gambling. So we're setting them up for a life in which their brain is saying, give me some quick dopamine. Give me some quick dopamine. I don't want to have to work for anything. I don't want to have to apply myself for an hour and then get a reward. And so what the short videos are doing for kids is preventing them from learning the connection between hard work and a reward.
Is there anything else I need to know from a neuroscience perspective about what's going on in my brain when I develop these addictions with short form videos or these sort of quick dopaminogenic tasks?
So we all as humans have a primal urge to scroll. When you feel a sense of stress, as many of us do in this moment in life, it is your sense, your amygdala. And so it's your sense of self-preservation. It's survival and self-preservation. That is what your amygdala does. So if you want me to show you here.
I have no idea what I'm doing there.
Yeah, it's okay. So here, deep here, it's a small almond-shaped structure, and that is your amygdala. And your amygdala, its main purpose is survival and self-preservation. It houses your stress response, your fight or flight response, and it is truly what is activated when you are engaging in content, when you feel a sense of stress, and so you have this primal urge to scroll. And so evolutionarily, when we all were cave people living together, we would sleep at night and there would be a night watchman scanning for danger. And now we have become our own night watchmen. And so we scan for danger all day, all night long. How do we do that? We scroll. And then the amygdala is triggered. And then you scroll some more, and you scroll some more, and you scroll some more. And so over time, what you're doing is that you're making that amygdala in a state of chronic, it's continually being triggered.